Hey YouTube family, how are you guys doing? Hope you're all doing well. Just wanted to give you a little update on the StompMan by Hughes and Kettner. So the plan was to use that tonight at a gig. We're playing at a Legion that we've never played in before, and it's a really small stage. So there's no room for like cabs, like a bass cab or guitar cab. The plan was just to run everything through the monitor, guitar and vocals. So I thought I better check that out. So I was just in the basement checking out my gear, right? And I was experimenting with Hughes and Kettner, and I'm not happy with what I'm hearing. Then I took out the quilter and ran it through the monitor just to see if if it's just typical. And the results are kind of staggering. I know they're different amps and they have different features, but I'm trying to keep everything the same. So on the quilter, I have everything pretty much set at 12 o'clock, except the bass. I find, because it has individual EQs, I find the quilter going through the head rush, which is just here on the floor, right there, all right, because I want it pointed towards the camera here so you guys can hear. I just find that the quilter has a lot more kind of bottom end, a lot more thickness. So I'm trying to make things even, so I'm taking the bass off. Everything else is pretty much at 12 o'clock. My gain, I have it set a little bit low, and I have my master a little bit higher, because if I run the gain flat, the quilter, because it's a UK version, so it's kind of based on a Vox, it starts to overdrive a bit. Like I get that natural saturation at 12 o'clock. So whereas this one is like really clean. So I want to try and keep them a little similar. And then the reverb, I have it totally shut off. The limiter, I have it in the middle. I know this doesn't have a limiter, but it does have a sag, so I'll keep that in the middle. And everything else on this one will be right up and down in the middle, except for the gain. The gain will be down a bit because the master doesn't seem to affect the line out on this. So it's just the gain, and it's too loud with the gain in the middle. So I'm just going to, set it that way. I'm not going to use the solo button or the bypass or effects loop or anything like that. I'm not using that. I'm not using the effects loop on this. We're just using the line out of the StompMan, not the speaker out of each amp, just the line out. And I'm using the line out of the quilter. Now, some of you guys are saying, yeah, but the line out of the quilter is the XLR. Yeah, but it's also the headphone out. So you can use that as a line out. Both are balanced, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so you can see I'm using the same guitar as I did in video number 1. And video number 1 is posted in the description below if you guys want to watch that. And you can see in the corner here, I'm still using that cheap little pedal board. And then the FR head rush monitor is right there, and then of course the 2 amps. So I got the quilter plugged in first, so we'll use that. The head rush is already on. The tuner pedal is on, so there's kind of no noise. And we'll turn the quilter on now. All right, so there's like nothing. There's no noise. We're gonna strum the G chord. That's pretty loud in here. I hope it's not distorting the mic, but anyway. Hughes and Kettner, power on. You hear the hissing in that? I don't know if that's coming out, but man, there's a huge amount of hiss right off the bat. Take the tuner off. Sound is incredibly thin on the Hughes and Kettner. I can't thicken it up through the line out. It's just to the quilter. Okay, so as soon as I hit the drive pedal, the quilter gets a little bit noisier. You can hear it. You can hear the drive. Now, that's because I have the gain on that drive like cranked, almost max, like 3/4 of the way and then some. But my other drive, like the Timmy drive, that's just a little bit of dirt. I don't have that one max, and if I step on that one, there's a little bit of noise, but very little. So here's the Timmy. Here's the heavy gain. So this would be like a tube screamer. Here's both pedals stacked. So now you can hear some noise. Here's the Hughes and Kettner again. You can hear the hiss like we could before the drive pedals are on. Take my tuner off. Hiss just doesn't go away, it's just always there. And then here's the light overdrive. So it sounds thin and fuzzy. The drive is not coming out like, you know, thick and creamy like I have the drive pedals set. It has that drive sound like it was coming out of a cheap little practice amp. Like something like this. Practice amps are great, but you've all heard them. Like when you crank the drives on them, they sound thin and cheap. They just don't sound authentic. So I feel like this is what I'm hearing here. And we know it's not the speaker because it's the same one, right, that I'm using between the quilter and the Hughes and Kettner, but it's very thin and harsh. Then if I click on the heavy gain, now you got kind of the same hum that the quilter was making, but over and above all the hissing going on. It's extremely noisy in here. And again, I don't know if it's coming out of the camera. And that's really thin. And we'll stack the gains. Now we got noise. There you have it. I'm not going to be using the Hughes and Kettner at this gig tonight, especially running through the line out. The EQ responses of these amps are totally different. I understand that. But for me, a 53-year-old, mediocre, guitar player who plays in weekend bands and stuff, definitely not professional. I don't want to dick around with gear, guys. Like I like point and shoot stuff. So set your EQ at 12 o'clock and get your tone, and then add or remove the frequencies that you kind of don't like. That's it. That's my bass sound. And then I use my drive pedals to give me that little bit of grit that I need for the sounds that I want to hear. It's simple. The Quilter, whether you're running it through a speaker cab, using the cab out, or whether you're running it through an FR speaker, it sounds good. It just sounds like an amp, like, right? So for me, the choice is clear. You know, I love pedalboard amps, and I'll keep, you know, demoing some and trying some if I come across some, you know, that are reasonably priced. The thing that really attracted me to this one is the potential of 50 watts. 50 watts is a lot for a small package like that. I thought it was, you know, it was pretty cool. But at 50 watts, you have to use a 4-ohm speaker, and I don't use 4-ohm speakers. So I'm still limited to 25 watts on this, just like the Quilter Superblock. And the other thing that attracted me to it was the price. So the Quilter Superblock here in Canada is about $449 to buy new, and this one is like $239. You know, it's almost half the price. So that's why I was kind of interested, and I thought, well, you know, since I have that $5 off card, I might as well rent it and, you know, give it a try. I'll take it to a gig, but no, I'm not taking that to a gig. So my setup tonight will be the Quilter through the head rush and no speaker cab, and hope for the best. This is for Matt. The last video, Matt was like, really? The guy like does a whole video and doesn't talk about the guitar he's using? So this is a guitar that I designed years ago. I was in search for the perfect Telecaster, and because all the Fender stuff I had, I was always fighting with them. Either a comfort thing, either a sound thing, either a playability thing. You know, and I was paying top dollar for my Fender Teles, and I hated to admit it, but I did not like them. And I don't own a single one. I have one Partscaster Tele that I've featured on my channel a while back. It has a graphite neck on it. It's modded to the hilt. You can't buy this thing off the shelf. Like, Fender doesn't produce it, but it does have Fender parts on it, and it has a Fender body. But that's it. All my other Fender stuff, gone. I was just sick and tired of paying Fender prices for what I felt I was getting, and then I was modding the crap out of these guitars to try to get them to play like I wanted to. So I had EVH Wolfgang guitar at the time, and that thing was just so not me. It was ridiculous. Like, it had, you know, the locking nut here, it had like the trem bridge with the fine tuners at the bottom, and it, you know, it had the big humbuckers in it, and I loved the ergonomics of the guitar. I loved it. It just balanced better than a Telecaster. It felt shorter because of the longer horn. It just loved everything about it. I hated the tones I was getting from it because it was designed for hardcore distortion, if you will. So I ordered a big square block, one solid piece of ash from Warmouth Custom Guitars. And back in the day, the Canadian dollar was almost par with the US. So it made sense at the time. And I talked to the guy, I can't remember his name, but he was a great guy to deal with. Talked to him over the phone, and he had that block pre-routed for me. So the neck pocket was routed in the block. All the standard Telecaster routes were in it. Everything was done. It was just not shaped because I knew I did not want a Telecaster body. And I had talked to him, and I explained to him that the upper horn on my guitar was going to be longer than a Telecaster, but shorter than a Strat. And he said, all right, I'll make sure the block is measured correctly so you can do whatever you want with it. So I got the block in the mail, and then I took out my Wolfcaster, traced the body out, took this to a friend of mine who's a luthier, and I had him cut out the body and make a slight contour there. I don't have a belly cut. Don't have much of a belly, so I didn't really need one. But I got a slight, very slight forearm contour, and that's all I need. It really makes a huge difference. And I got a slight contour here at the back, you know, going inward. And yeah, so I call this my Wolfcaster. Yeah, it's just a point and shoot guitar, nothing fancy. So Matt, in case you're wondering, that's all it is. So it's kind of a glorified Telecaster, and I call it my Wolfcaster because it's kind of has a Wolfgang body style, and yeah. So that's it. If you stuck around this long, thank you very much. You guys take care. God bless. And I'll see you in the next one.